listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome into the GM Shuffle. This is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I am Geoff Schwartz, 8 years in National Football League, alongside Marty Herney, 30 years in the NFL front offices of the Panthers, the Chargers, and the Commanders. And we have done it, Marty. We have reached a Super Bowl. It is 2 weeks away, but we have our opponents. It will be the Seattle Seahawks, the number one seed in the NFC, 14-3 in the regular season, facing the Patriots, who were the second seed in the AFC. I don't think anyone in their right mind picked this Super Bowl before the season, but that's the NFL for you. We end up with a rematch of the Super Bowl, very memorable one. Malcolm Butler interception for the Patriots, with Tom Brady getting it done in the 2016 season. It is a remarkable time for the NFL because we get to see these teams play, Marty, in Super Bowl in 2 weeks, and it's a matchup again that no one really thought that we'd be here. How did you enjoy this weekend, Marty, of football?
I thought the games were great, and it's Geoff, you look at it, and we say that it's a quarterback tournament, but I think what is becoming more and more evident as we go, as offenses change, as the game really changes, especially offensively, that whether it's the offense coordinator, the head coach who's an offensive guy, but getting that quarterback guru hooked up with a good quarterback is a part of a winning formula. And I think Seattle has shown that. I think that Sam Darnold has been the beneficiary of Kevin O'Connell last year and Klint Kubiak this year. And I think you could argue he came out and played the best game of his career yesterday. He throwing the ball downfield, getting chunk plays, putting it in tight windows. You can see where he gets in trouble, and he does put it in tight windows, and he will throw some interceptions. Yeah. But yesterday he was just on fire, and I think that Seattle, I've said this, was the best overall team. I like them very much. On the money line, and given the points, they were at 2.5 at game time.
Yep.
And the Rams special teams came through for me. I mean, that they have been bad all year. Yep. And the Xavier Smith muff was probably the turning point of the game, wasn't it?
It probably was. And correction, it was the end of the 2014 season when the Seahawks and Patriots played, not in 2016 there. 31-27 for the Seattle Seahawks in this game. You mentioned Sam Darnold, 25 of 36 for 346 and 3 touchdowns. I thought this was a masterclass, as you mentioned, between Sam Darnold and Kubiak, who is the offensive coordinator for Seattle. Look, I will have to eat some crow on Sam Darnold here. We have seen in big games in his career that he has faltered, right? Very famously, the seeing ghost comment. Now, that was years ago in the Jets, but that was a Monday football game, I believe it was. The Rams games previously this season weren't his best football. The 2 games to end last season weren't his best football. In this game, the most high-profile game, high-stakes game, he was unbelievably good. 91st percentile in EPA, and I really think starting fast was a big reason why. Hit Shaheed early in the game on a go route, Marty. Yep. You start feeling good about where you're at. And Seattle is running the ball better now. Now, Kenneth Walker did not end up with a ton of yards rushing. He had 19 carries for 62 yards, but early on, they ran the ball really, really well. They got into a very good rhythm offensively, and they were able to find, obviously, JSN's incredible, but then you have Cooper Kupp with 4 catches. I think they used Kenneth Walker and the other running backs out of the backfield very well in this game. This is a very, very good game plan from Kubiak. And I think Darnold, at least for me, Marty, has erased all of those bad memories. I'm going to look at him moving forward now into the Super Bowl. We will preview the Super Bowl here in a few minutes. I think I'm over it now, Marty. I mean, is it fair to be over it now? Like, or is there still something lingering for you of like, that old guy can turn back in? But I got to say, man, it didn't look like the old guy in that game. I think this is done now. For me, it's done. I'm not talking about the past anymore with him.
It's done until the next time he has a bad game. They're not going to be able to let go. Those things come back. And, we're going to talk about this a lot in the offseason and when we talk about all these coaching searches. But listen, nothing forms an opinion of an NFL player, coach, general manager than winning and losing. That's how you look at it. So Sam Darnold played probably the best game of his career yesterday, won the biggest game of his career. But if he comes out in the Super Bowl and throws 3 picks, you're going to be there the day after saying the same thing. You know it. So, but he played great yesterday. He did everything that he needs to do. He also has the benefit of it. You said this, Geoff, when we were talking in the break. I thought the offensive line really played well, right? I mean, I thought the offensive line played a good game for him. And in JS and in Kenneth Walker, he's got 2 guys with unbelievable short area quickness. They can change directions on a dime. And the yards after the catch they both got played a big role in yesterday's game. Although they did do well rotating their running backs. I do think that they would have been even better with Zach Charbonnet, but I think Kenneth Walker is one of the most underrated backs in the league. I loved him coming out. He shows that quickness. He's not necessarily a 30, 40-yard guy, but boy, those 9 to 12-yard runs, because he hits the hole so quickly. He can cut on a dime. I just thought that he played a big role. Not that he had a lot of yards, but I think he had 35 yards in the first 3 or 4 carries. He had a couple 9-yard runs early that started him off quickly, but he just always a presence as a runner. He can run inside despite his size because of his change of direction, and he's a threat out of the backfield as a receiver.
I thought, Marty, again, Kubiak, it was a master plan from him, and the play that the JSN touchdown, JSN was at the running back position and ran a running back corner route out of the backfield. Now on the flip side, look, Seattle's defense we know is really good, maybe against everyone but the Los Angeles Rams, because the Rams keep putting up points and scoring against Seattle. The Rams 2 games in Seattle, right? 1 in December and one now. 64 points, 1,000 yards, 1 turnover, 0-2 record. And you can't fault Stafford and the Rams offensively in this game. Defensively, they've really fallen off a cliff, and Seattle's taken advantage of that. And the thing that we talked about with Los Angeles for so many weeks, Marty, was, do we get the full 60 minutes of Ram playing their best football, or do we get pockets of it, or 35 minutes? This was a 35-minute game, right? You talked about it, special teams. Been a huge problem for them the entire season. A guy just, he muffs a punt. He overran a punt and wasn't able to get underneath of it. He should have just, I guess, probably continued running forward and not try to back up. It's his chest pops out. Seattle scores the next play. But even going back to a play that, was it I think it was the drive that ended on turnover on downs, right? It was a 3rd and 1, and they had a play called up, a dotted play at the Seattle 26 for Parkinson. It was a 1-man route, essentially, a play action pass, breaking tendencies, and Parkinson just dropped the pass, Marty. Probably scores a touchdown, probably walks into the end zone. Now, there was a hand sort of in his way, but the ball hit both of his hands, catch the football, score a touchdown. And those were the things that we saw from Los Angeles, where Seattle plays a much cleaner style of football, Marty, and it showed in their last 2 matchups.
It does. And the only issue I have with the Seattle defense yesterday, Geoff, is I thought they missed more tackles than they usually miss. I thought they gave the Rams some opportunity to get some yards after the catch, but their secondary was great. I thought they mixed in more man than they usually do. That, as you had said, as we talked before the show, that they are mainly a zone team, but they played quite a bit of man yesterday against the Rams, and I just again they've been playing at such a high level. I just really like their chances in the Super Bowl.
There was a controversial penalty in this game. I mean, maybe not, for me and you, but the way you felt about it. So Seattle, and this, a theme with a lot of these games, there's referee calls that happen. And look, I'm not one of these people, Marty, who just is going to blame officials for wins and losses. They're humans. They make mistakes. They make calls you don't like. And the next game has a couple of them. But just in this game, Reek Woolen gets a personal, and sportsmanlike conduct on a fourth down. And actually, it was a third down play. He knocks the ball away. He then taunts the bench for the Rams, gets a penalty, and the Rams get back into this game. Now, I am one who believes that there should not be penalties for mean words in a football game, Marty. Now, I will admit, obviously, that if you go to someone's bench and you taunt their bench, you're probably going to get a penalty for that. And I look at the official warned him about it. He did it anyways. I don't love it, Marty. I don't love it, but I sort of understand why it was called. I think it's got to be better in that situation.
Yeah, I don't love the fact that he's not smart enough not to get such a critical, costly penalty. Geoff, he walked down the sidelines of the Rams sidelines talking to the bench. I mean, you can create a fight. I mean, you can create a bench clearing fight doing something like that. So I thought the penalty was very warranted. And again, I was rooting hard for Seattle, and it was just one of those mistakes that you cannot make, period, but you certainly can't make on a big stage at a critical time. He really could have cost them the game.
Seattle through to the next round, the Super Bowl. They are a favorite right now of 4.5 points. It might get to 5, might get to 6. Open 3.5 yesterday. It's been batted around plenty of times here. I'm sure you get different iterations of this number throughout the week. The total is 46.5. We'll obviously have plenty of time to talk about the number in this game. We'll have our best bets to end the show. But now it's time to get to the AFC game, Marty, between the Patriots and the Denver Broncos. A fascinating game, so much to get into. We'll do that next time. Presented by Broncos Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, Marty, back on the GM Shuffle. We will get to a lot of the coaching news that we've had to digest here in the last couple of days. But Marty, of course, let's get to the AFC Championship game here. A 10-7 win for the Patriots. I don't know where to begin with this game, Marty. I write notes down. I got a lot of notes, and that doesn't even include stuff about the Patriots offense. I think that the starting point is we talk about the winners first, right? And Mike Vrabel is such an underrated game manager. I don't think he gets enough credit for how he manages the games because I thought this was a master class in the second half of understanding the weather, his team, and the opponent, right? Where he figured out quite quickly that with the weather coming in and with the way the Denver offense had played since that first drive of the game when they came out and scored a touchdown, Denver was unlikely to score. They scored a second drive, I should say. It was unlikely to score the rest of the game if New England didn't mess it up, right? And so you saw a game plan in the second half where they were not going to let Drake May mess the game up once they went up 10-7. They went up 10-7, and Denver had 3 plays, 6 yards punt, 3 plays, 3 yards punt, 6 plays, 17 yards punt, 4 plays, 5 yards missed field goal. If you recall, that was still a long, in the wind. To me, it was actually a blocked field goal. I forgot about that from 28 yards. I mean, it was a longer field goal than that, but they just did a masterful job with how he managed that game, and that's my takeaway, just holistically, of the Patriots from this game, Marty.
I also think, Geoff, you have to give guys at Elliott, Wolf, Ryan County, you have to give the personnel guys credit at New England because this game was in Denver. If the game was in New England, the weather would have probably been the same, right? I don't know the weather, I can't imagine any weather being worse than it was yesterday because wind is the worst. Wind is bad, and then snow or rain. When you combine both of them with a severe wind, I mean, it was extremely difficult conditions yesterday. But I think the New England Patriots are built better to play in those situations because of Ramondre Dre Stevenson is a much better straight line runner. Drake May can make yards running in bad weather because he is a pretty decent straight line runner. The Denver Broncos offense is more of a speed running game. We've talked about that. You've said it so many times, Geoff, that their running backs kind of concern you. I think that was really the difference. When the weather changed, the advantage went totally to the Patriots, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was a huge part of the game. Now, that was in the forecast. It wasn't in the forecast, I think, quite to the extreme that it ended up being, especially with the wind. You mentioned the wind's the worst, right? And we saw that, one direction the second half, the wind was better than the other one. Denver actually had the better wind in the fourth quarter. New England took advantage of that. They had the better wind in the third quarter. They made enough plays, kicked the field goal, obviously. 16-play drive, 64 yards. With a field goal, that was the final points of the game. Now, the hard part about New England is the offense just hasn't been very good in the postseason, Marty. And there's no, New England fans, yell at me all you want. Your EPA per play was the same as the Jets in the offense of the regular season. In 3 playoff games, Drake May is completing 55% of passes, 4.7 adjusted air yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, 5 turnovers. He has fumbled the ball 6 times, been sacked 15 times. It's not been a good offensive performance, and it's a team game, Marty, right? So certainly all that counts, but they're doing this despite an offense that typically is not winning a lot of playoff games.
But it does make critical plays at critical times. I think that's what Drake May has showed us. That there's been a lot of times in this season where maybe the total body work during the game isn't great, but it just seems like when they need a critical play, Drake May finds a way to come up to make it.
He does. And the final bootleg of the game, the one that sealed him the game, Drake May said he kept it himself, which is a very bold decision. I love it. But Marty, if you don't get it, you got to talk to the head coach about that one. But he got it.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell his offensive line. He didn't tell his running back. I love when you can do that. It's a great play call. It's a great trust in yourself. He knew, obviously, what he needed to get in that moment. I love the confidence of that. But I'm glad he got it because he would have had hell to pay if he didn't, Marty.
Yeah, but that's what comes with the confidence of winning 8 games on the road during the regular season, right? And I think that, they've won 9. They're the only first team to ever win 9 road games. I think that's what happens when you start winning games and doing what they've done, because he knows that even if he didn't make it, Vrabel would be okay if he had the right reasons for doing it. So I just think that, that the play that everybody's talking about, Sean Payton and not kicking a field goal, Geoff, and we can talk about that. I'm usually the one that says take the points, don't go by all the analytics. I was in total agreement with Sean Payton on this because I think he used his experience, his feel. He knows all about analytics, but 7-0, they were at a point where he thought that they had the momentum and really could take charge of the game. And he knew about the weather coming in too. And a 2-touchdown lead would have been extremely hard to overcome. So I really don't mind the fact that he went for it and did not kick the field goal. We were talking, you have an issue maybe with the play call, but I did not mind the decision to go for it instead of kicking a field goal. And I'm usually one that says take the points.
So quite simply, it's easy in hindsight to say, hey man, maybe we should have called, called a play on 4th and 1, kick the ball 10-0, the blizzard's coming in. I mean, they go up 10-0, Marty, you feel pretty good about where they're at. My problem was the play call. With a backup quarterback, there's about 4 plays you're going to run, in my estimation, right? You're going to run a quarterback sprint out, which this was not a sprint out. It was, it was the sprint right option, right? Q8 sprint right option. You're going to run maybe like a little wide leak, right? Where you have play action pass, and the Y, the tight end sort of runs like a little across the grain, right? From right to left, okay? Y leak's a great play. You're going to run just a duo right up the middle, right? A run play up the middle, or this play that's very popular in NFL where you sort of fake to the running back who goes in the flat, and you sort of have a layer concept, right? You got 1, 2, and 3, and you ran one of the 4 plays, Marty. And New England they were in zone coverage, like that's a man coverage type play. They were in zone coverage. I forget if they motioned before the play or not, but typically you motion beforehand to see man zone. And there was a guy free off the edge. I mean, New England played it. I think the credit to me goes to New England for being ready for that play. But I think Sean Payton just sort of had to know that there's about 4 plays everyone knows you're going to run, and you ran one of the 4, Marty.
Yeah, and he's usually not that guy, but I mean, obviously he had a very good feeling about it.
Yeah.
As much as everybody knew that weather was coming in, Geoff, I don't think anybody could have predicted it was going to come in that bad and have that much effect on the game. And listen, the reason I don't have a problem with it is Sean Payton is an aggressive play caller. He's an aggressive head coach. And really, that is a big part of his success. He's not afraid to roll the die and go for it. And listen, I mean, he's been taught by Bill Parcells. So I'm not saying he goes crazy, but he knows when to take chances. He won a Super Bowl by doing an onside kick. I mean, I don't mind that they did that because that's his personality. That's what he does as a play caller, as an offense coordinator and a head coach. So it just, they didn't get it. But I still think if the weather would have stayed and not turned as bad as it did, I think Denver would have had a better chance of winning this game.
I look, 14-0, they convert there, score a touchdown eventually. Game might be over. Like I get the point of that. Marty, did you notice the screen said go for it? The screen always says go for it. It always says go for it.
Oh, yeah.
This podcast.
I don't even think they had the other one, Geoff. I don't think the word punt is in any studio or any camera at all.
It either says like go for it or like no. Like those are the 2 options I think that the TV broadcast has, and it always says go. There's always a go because obviously converting on first down, your win percentage goes up. This podcast, the GM Shuffle, is a go for Huel. All right. Marty and I are both busy, especially myself early in the morning. I take the kids to school, got to go to the gym, come here and record the podcast. And I'm hungry, right? You go to the gym, you work out, you want a little nutritious. And afterwards, Huel, this bottle, a meal in a bottle right here. It's fantastic. The chocolate flavor is very delicious. Look, 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's got the fiber to help you, help your gut a little bit. It fills you up, which is very important here to get some energy after the gym for this show here, Marty. I know you love the green treat they have.
I do, Geoff. And listen, I said last time, I'm a meat and potatoes guy, but I'm also a guy that wakes up in the morning and drinks coffee basically and doesn't eat till noon or 1 o'clock. And when I do that, it's a quick sandwich. And I just do not get enough vegetables in my diet, enough nutrients. I drink this first thing in the morning, okay? And this is the blueberry lemon, excuse me. They have a variety of flavors. They all taste great. I drink it. I feel good in the morning. It gives me energy. It gives me the nutrients and the vegetables that I do not get during the day. So I'm sold on this. I don't go a morning without it.
If you're trying to feel a little more put together, or you just want some easy wins in your day, this combo is such a good place to start. Again, the meal in a bottle and the greens drink. Limited time offer. Grab Huel today with our exclusive offer of 15% off with my code Shuffle15 at Huel.com/Shuffle15. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show. Again, it's really good. It's good for a busy schedule on the go. Marty and I both enjoy very much. We're going to come back in a second, Marty, and talk about this Jarrett Stidham fumble, because I think there's a lot of things here with Sean Payton. Look, we can disagree on the go for it or not, but where Vrabel managed the game really well with his quarterback, even though he wasn't playing terribly well. He was running the ball, which is important. Note, but this was a moment where the game management to me wasn't as great. I was also hoping to see a little more trickery, Marty. Like, we didn't really see any trick plays, any weird formations, any sort of like move the pockets I thought we'd see. New England was mostly ready for screens. I give New England credit there, but I thought we'd see a little bit more from them. So let's talk about Jarrett Stidham here. Next, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
All right, we're back on the GM Shuffle here, Marty. Let's talk about Jarrett Stidham. So, I expect a different game plan, Marty. I thought we'd see a little more play action, a little more move the pocket, a little more, naked's boots. We got him periodically. I thought the first drive, the touchdown was a great call. He hit someone deep and sort of never went back. Maybe that was the weather part of this, but the big play of the game obviously was the backwards pass. And I just think that in that situation, you gotta tell Stidham 3rd and 4 at the 33 that you gotta, the ball, it's gotta do something, anything but that, Marty, right? So the question I have about this play is the dynamics of the pass, right? So if I go to throw a pass and as it leaves my hand, it's deflected and goes backwards, that's an incomplete pass because it's left my hand. Right. It's a pass forward, deflected backwards. In this situation, it's hard to really tell. Stidham's shoulders are turned to the sidelines. It looks like he pumps the ball and then goes to throw the ball, push it forward, and the guy hits his hand, which then makes the pass go backwards. If it hits the ball at all, it's an incomplete pass. I just thought, again, with the officiating, it's mostly fine, but they just didn't take enough time to look this play over. And then, of course, they blew the play dead, which they shouldn't have. All season long, they let the play run, right? All season long, they let it run. This situation, they don't. It just felt like one of those situations where it was very hectic and it was officiated in that same way. I think that's the right call. But it was a big deal. New England had one touchdown drive. It was 12 yards. It was that touchdown drive.
It was. You could see Vrabel on the sideline saying, "Why did you blow the whistle?" I mean, the game was such a defensive struggle that, he wanted that touchdown. He didn't want it at the 12-yard line. It worked out for him. So I thought it was a good call. I thought it was an example of a young backup quarterback, hadn't played in the regular season, in a big spot, trying to do too much. On that play, he pumped once, he brought it back down, then he turns and he kind of shuffles it with two hands, which does not help your case for being a forward pass, because I think just human nature, if it's close and you're pushing it with two hands like you would a lateral, I think you call it a lateral, and that's what they did. And I did not have an issue, a problem with that call at all. I just think it was an example of a young quarterback trying to do too much, not really knowing the situation, and just saying, listen, I got to eat it. I got to take the sack and live for another play. He did not do that, and that was a huge play in the game.
I certainly think I got a little bit over my skis with how I thought Stidham would play in this game based off of what we've seen with Sean Payton with backup quarterbacks in the past. I mean, it was one drive, and that was about it. And they covered, though, so that was good. But, look, they punt the first drive. They score a touchdown, punt, 4th down, fumble, punt, miss field goal, punt, miss field goal, interception. And ball game over. Now, Marty, looking forward to Super Bowl here between New England and Seattle. I know New England's had a good run, Marty. I get it. I just don't know where they're better at a single position than the Seattle Seahawks right now. And I think that matters. And I just don't know how they're going to score in this game.
I agree. Well, I think they'll find a way to score, Geoff, but I just think this. I think Seattle's been the best team in the league probably all year, but most definitely the last 4 to 6 weeks, they've been playing the best football. I just think that they are going to be very hard to score on. I tell you, the one thing that did bother me yesterday is I was bothered by the missed tackles. And if they do that, New England's going to be able to break some tackles, make some chunk plays, and score. As much as I like Seattle, and I think they really win the game, I don't know. This spread's going up and up. I see it as a closer game. I mean, New England's defense is awfully good as well. You have two of the best defenses in the league playing, and I just think that this will be a close game. I do give the edge to Seattle. But gosh, I mean, what can you say about the Patriots? So, on the road's not going to bother them 9 games in a row. It's going to be interesting. I will say one of the big importances is how you handle this game as an organization, because there's so many distractions, how many tickets players get for families, where the families are staying. Once the families come in on that Thursday, how do you really tell your players
Yeah.
to balance their time and still focus on what you're supposed to do? It's a big transition for young teams that haven't been there. That's a big part of this whole thing, is how you handle Super Bowl week.
What you said, the players came in what day?
Players' families. Now, the team gets there Sunday.
Yes,
normally.
correct. Yeah.
Players' families
correct. Get
come
there
in
Thursday.
on
Yes.
Thursday.
I was part of that process. Yes.
Oh, it's just like the atmosphere changes. All hell breaks loose.
Well, so I was a family member when my brother won in 2019, and you go to the team hotel, and you're just partying for 4 days in a row, buddy. I went to concerts Friday night, Saturday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Miami. I didn't care about the Chiefs until the game. Like, I'm partying, I'm not having my best, and then Chiefs win. Party at the hotel afterwards, and the players obviously are sequestered. Like, Mitch would barely eat with me. I think we had one meal together because he was so worried about being prepared. It should be. My brother's prepared the way he should play. He played incredible in that game. But the family shows up. It's a very different. You're obviously not allowed the same part of the hotel as the players are, but very much a different vibe than what the players are going through. Players get those Sunday. Now, Seattle has John Schneider, their general manager, who's done this before, right? So that'll be good to have that experience. Obviously, Mike Vrabel will have the experience on his side, which will be good as well. I want to give one last shout out to Seattle. As we get into talking about coaches in a second, teams are choosing sometimes between general manager and head coach and quarterback and this quarterback. Marty, Seattle did a masterful job. They chose the general manager, John Schneider, over Pete Carroll, and they chose Sam Darnold over Geno Smith. Both of those were home run slam dunks. I give ownership credit for doing that. Now, of course, there was an ownership change because of a death. So, this is sort of a fluid situation with ownership, and they got this right. It's very impressive, Marty.
John Schneider is one of if he's the best. If he's not the best, he's top 2, top 3. I mean, he's incredible what he does. Doing that job for as long as he's done it, Geoff, I'm telling you, man, he needs some kind of statue, because it is an extremely hard job, and he is very balanced and consistent. He's got a formula in his head. He knows how to do it. He's not afraid to make a mistake, just like Howie Roseman, just like Brandon Beane, like the good general managers in this league. He knows when to be aggressive, but I can't think any better. He has just done a phenomenal job.
Done a phenomenal job. Obviously, so is New England, building their roster from 4 wins to a Super Bowl berth. If you're hearing here on the GM Shuffle, there's even more VSiN Pro, betting splits, power range, sharpen house, all for $9.99 your first month. Go to vsin.com, subscribe, and check out all the subscription options. All right, Marty, coaching news. Thing that you know very well. In the time since we have spoken, Mike McCarthy was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, I know Steelers fans think this is like a 1-for-1 swap, right? You basically have the offensive version of Mike Tomlin. I just want to say McCarthy's won a lot of football games, guys. And I know that the success in the postseason might not be there like you would want. He didn't have success in Dallas as much, but they won 12 games 3 years in a row before Dak Prescott gets hurt in 2024 and they win 7 games. He's won a lot of games, right? So I think if you just can get the Steelers infrastructure and find a quarterback, you're going to win a lot. Now, you win a Super Bowl? I don't know. But no one thought New England would be in the Super Bowl right now. I knew it. It's like, find yourself that quarterback, right, Marty? So I didn't dislike the hire. I don't think Steelers think it's just sort of a 1-for-1 swap here, but got to find the quarterback. I think this will work out.
I give the Steelers credit on a couple things. And number one is they didn't say we have to find the next head coach for the next 20 years, 30 years, because that's what we do. They went for the guy, the best fit. And Mike McCarthy is a very good fit. I know Mike well. When I interviewed him when we were in the process that ended up with Matt Rule. And I went out to Green Bay. He's got a huge barn where he's got an office with video, with analytics, because he knew that he had to get more versed in the analytics after he was fired from Green Bay. This guy is a guy who is a people person. He's a manager. He's a collaborator. He will work with people in the building. He really is. He fits what the Steelers are about. And he's a Pittsburgh guy. So in those areas, he's a perfect fit. Does he need a young quarterback coach, offense coordinator, somebody, that complements him? But he is a very good offensive coach and can coach quarterbacks. Who his defensive coordinator is going to be is extremely important. But he's just the right personality fit for Pittsburgh, and he's a really good coach.
He's a good coach. And again, I don't really know what the options were for Pittsburgh, because as we approach this coaching cycle, there's only a few jobs left, right? Off the top of my head, the Browns might be hired by the time today's over, by the way. They look like they're going to hire Scheelhaase from the Rams. I want to talk about that a little bit in depth after our next break here. The Cardinals are still open, and the Raiders, right? Those are the three still open, I believe.
Bills.
Buffalo, four open. It does feel like the process will speed up now that the Rams are out. There's candidates for the Rams. Kubiak might be candidate as well for Seattle, who can't be hired obviously until the end of the Super Bowl now. But it does feel like we have the candidate pool, right, Marty? Like, you feel pretty good about these four coaches. We know their names right now, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Mike LaFleur's the head candidate in Arizona. And it certainly would be a surprise to see the Raiders hire Klint Kubiak after their season's done.
Yeah, that's we'll see. Kubiak, he was so good yesterday. He deserves a job, I would imagine. All right, let's talk more about the potential Browns hiring of Scheelhaase. I have a question for Marty. We'll do it next. GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Back on the GM Shuffle here, we'll have our best bets for you in a few minutes here for the Super Bowl. The things I like already, I've already wagered on a couple of these. I'm waiting for some to pop back up and figure out what I'm going to do. We still have a lot of time, obviously, till Super Bowl, Marty. It appears the Browns are going to hire Nate Scheelhaase. That's the correct pronunciation. He's the current pass game coordinator for the Rams. Before that, he was a pass game specialist for the Rams. Before that, he was the OC for one season, it looks like, at Iowa State. He's 35 years old. And my concern with this, Marty, I was kind of thinking about this as we were preparing for the show. So he's an OC, but doesn't call plays, right? Sean McVay calls plays. And I'm trying to think of offensive coordinators who did not call plays who became good head coaches. And Matt Nagy did not, right? He was in Andy Reid. Andy Reid called plays. Brian Callahan did not call plays in Cincinnati. That was Zach Taylor. Brian Callahan obviously failed in Tennessee. By the way, it's not about calling plays. It's about the leadership of having your own room, right? So when you install an offense or defense on Wednesday with your players, the OC gets up and talks, right? So you're commanding a room. You're in charge of things. McVay probably does that in Los Angeles. Now, there are times I'm sure that Scheelhaase does speak in front of the team, but then also on game day, and you brought this up, Marty, on game day, who's making decisions about the offense? It's all Sean McVay, right? So now you're elevating Scheelhaase from a position of basically, lack of a better word, no power to all the power without any practice in between. That's worrisome. I looked this up too. Sean McVay, by the way, did call plays in Washington before he was hired by the Rams. He's had some experience to it. It's a very inexperienced football mind. It might be a great hire, but it does feel like a huge risk. But then no one else wants the job. So what are you going to do?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a couple things here. It's a roll of dice with a young coach, but there are a lot of young coaches that have come in and turned franchises around, and I think that's what Cleveland would be banking on. Obviously, the Sean McVay tree is a very popular one. A lot of people have come from that tree and been very successful. Um, but you hit it, Geoff. I mean, I think it really comes down to what was the candidate pool that they had people pull out of the interview process. A head coach once said to me about a team, and I'm not going to mention the coach of the team, but said the only head coaches that go there are the ones that are too young and dumb or too old to have anything else. And I think that right now Cleveland's biggest problem is that they have a reputation of an organization that is not on the same page. I'm sure that anybody that's going to interview the job, I mean, the coaching fraternity is very close knit. A lot of guys will call up Kevin Stefanski and get his take. I think this is as much about how many people would not want to take that job as who they get. So they're going to roll the dice, it sounds like, and go with a young offensive mind. Not calling the plays doesn't bother me as much, Geoff, because there's a lot of defensive coordinators that come take the head coaching job and do not call the plays, which always upset me. But the biggest part of this is that even leaving from a coordinator post, a post you do have a lot of responsibility in play calling. It's hard because it's a different set of skill sets. It's a managerial position. It's having to coach your coaches, to manage the players, to deal with the front office, and to deal with the owner. All those things are so different than what any assistant coach is used to. Now you turn the fact that the guy is 35, he hasn't called plays. It's a lot on his plate, and I'm hoping maybe he is very special and has the ability to do that. It's obviously going to take some time for him to learn all those things, but that's a big jump.
It is a big jump. The Browns, it was reported that Andrew Berry, the general manager, is making candidates do personality testing, written essays, other things that feel a little bit off the wall. Marty, I can't imagine you made John Fox write you 5-paragraph essay before hiring him.
There's a couple things you can imagine, Geoff. Me not doing that and what John Fox would do if I would have asked him to do that. It wouldn't have been a good reaction on either scenario. This kind of stuff just upsets me too much to talk about. What's that have to do with hiring a head coach? And that's what I've always said. A lot of people don't know who to hire as head coaches and general managers. Now, with that said, I have great respect for Andrew Berry. I think he does know who to hire. There's just different ways to do things. And even though I wouldn't put much stock into it, everybody's got their criteria for choosing a head coach. I do think Andrew Berry is a very bright football executive that is capable of hiring a good head coach. He's in a tough spot, though, because as we talked about, it's not the most sought-after spot in the league as far as head coaching vacancies would go.
Did you have a weird thing you asked or like did when you were like not a weird thing, like a quirky thing, you hear in the combine time when there were physical playbooks that teams would like hide stuff in the playbook to see if guys actually read it through.
You put $100 bill at the end of the book. Yeah.
You did?
No, some people would do that.
Oh, yeah.
I knew somebody that would do that. They would put $100 bill at the last page of the book, and if they got there and they saw it, if they didn't say anything about it and sent the book back with the $100 bill, you knew you didn't read it.
Yeah. That would be that would
I don't do that. That to me, Geoff, I'm no. And did I ask any? Maybe I could ask a stupid question. Any off the wall questions? No. I mean, my biggest thing was this: does the head coach have the same philosophy? Does he get along? Can he get along with the owner? Can he manage players? And the biggest thing is, who's your staff going to be? Who's your coordinators going to be? Because that's the most important decision he will make.
So when you're 35 and haven't called plays, What do you really? Look again. I know the game is skewing younger, Marty, from a coaching perspective. McVay's work, like it works. I'm not saying it can't work, but like, what convictions do you have as a head coach with little to no experience doing anything that a head coach would do? I- Like if you can say I believe in this and this and this, and I would do that, but you don't have any examples or to show, right? Like if you go to a meeting with you and you ask the coach like a situation, how they would handle this, never doing it before, they'll give you a good answer, of course, but how do you know that's how they would actually operate in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this situation, one of the things teams have talked about is bringing in a former older head coach that could serve as an advisor. I'm not sure that works. I think you got to learn by mistakes, and I think you just have to do the job. Listen, he knows enough about what Sean McVay does, and he will talk to enough people about what he needs to do as a head coach. So he's going to know what to do, and he's going to make a lot of mistakes along the way, but it's just really whether he can have a vision and really put together the pieces in the
Yeah.
formula of how he wants to win games. His biggest problem right now, in that he's 35, it's that he's going to a team that doesn't have a
No
starting
quarterback.
quarterback. And, look at the odds for that. Get the analytics guys to how many good head coaches have come out and stayed for 10 years with no quarterback. I don't think many. I
Well,
think that would be a no.
I guess you can, in theory, draft one next draft, not this one, right? I mean, you just be 3-14 in your first year and then draft them afterwards. I mean, it feels like what would be the selling point, right? Is like we'll clear Watson's number off the cap sheet soon. You have to kind of just we'll piece together this season and next season. We'll build the roster out for you this year. There's a lot of things that I don't make the Browns podcast, but their offensive line, Marty, is old and crusty and needs to be redone,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
They're older on defense. They don't have a great wide receivers right now. The roster's in a bad place in Cleveland beyond the quarterback.
They have good people in their personnel department. I know them. Guys like Chris Polian, they know what they're doing. They've been there, and they know how to build a team. It's just really getting if they get a coach that you're on the same page, and a young coach will let you do that and let you build the team and will be collaborative. And listen, they're starting from scratch, right? They're rebuilding it. And the biggest thing they have to do is get the owner on the same page. Get Jimmy Haslam, the general manager, the head coach. They're all on the same page, and let the football people do their jobs.
All right, let's get to our best bets for the Super Bowl. We'll obviously have a couple episodes between now and then, so we'll go over this today. We're going to have an episode later this week, previewing a little bit of the game. Plus, we'll kind of wrap up the coaching sort of stuff. We're going to start talking about the offseason. We're talking about what Marty starts doing now as a general manager in this time of year, and we'll get into scouting reports, and we'll kind of break down some of the early part of the draft. Mock drafts are coming out as we speak. Let's get to our best bets here, Marty, for this game presented by DraftKings. What do you like?
Well, I like two props right now, and again, this is going to change. And my son for the Super Bowl, my son will have two spreadsheets worth of bets from the color of the Gatorade all the way through. He loves this, but I like two props right now. I like JSN to score 2 or more touchdowns at plus 650, and I like Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown at plus 220, 255. Excuse me.
Oh, I will have a lot of I'll have too much. It's going to be too much. You get to a certain point, you can't win money because you have too many wagers. It's going to be a problem. But I'm going to start with the New England Patriots team total under 20.5. I just don't think they're scoring a lot of points in this game. They had one offensive touchdown against the Chargers, one offensive touchdown against the Broncos. That could even, that's a half touchdown, right? That should have been a touchdown on defense. Their offensive line, huge concern of mine, Marty, in this game. They don't have, it just doesn't going to score. I mean, they can score in defense, obviously, but 20.5 for there. The other one, I'm going to wait on this one here. I'm going to give it to you guys now. I like Drake May under rushing yards. What's going to happen is everyone's going to bet his over. Seattle plays a ton of zone coverage. And that means they're going to have a middle linebacker or two linebackers near the box every snap. Drake May scrambles a lot because in two-man, there's no one in the box, right? They're guarding their guys. Drake May takes off and runs. So I think you're going to have a middle linebacker there, Marty, in the middle, which will limit Drake May's ability to rush. It's a schematic bet. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to wait, though, to take this. The number rises a little bit. So that is our wager. We're back on Thursday. We'll start previewing the Super Bowl more in depth, and we'll hit some offseason news and notes, some coaching search stuff. We'll be back on Thursday, guys. Take care, everyone. Have a great one.